What if one single dad's decision to stand up at a crowded party exposed a violent secret and put a child's life on the line in front of everyone? If you believe stories like this matter, please like this video, share it with someone who needs courage, and subscribe to the channel so these real feeling stories can keep reaching people. Ethan Walker had not planned to stay long at the party. He had come alone, as he usually did since becoming a single father, keeping to the side and counting minutes instead of conversations. Parties had a way of making him feel invisible, especially when most people arrived in pairs. He was there out of respect, not comfort. As he scanned the room, he noticed his neighbor, Maya, standing a short distance away with her husband, Victor. Ethan had seen Maya many times in passing, always quiet, always careful with her words. Tonight, something about her posture felt wrong. Victor stood too close, speaking low, his hand tight around her arm in a way that looked more like control than affection. Maya's eyes kept moving, not in curiosity, but in fear. Ethan tried to look away, reminding himself that getting involved had consequences, especially when you had a child depending on you. But then Victor leaned in and said something that made Maya flinch. The party noise continued around them, unaware, uncaring. Ethan's chest tightened. He thought of the nights he had stayed silent in his own life, choosing peace over confrontation, and how silence had never truly protected anyone. When Victor suddenly pulled Maya toward an exit, she stumbled, and a few people turned to look. That was the moment Ethan stepped forward. He raised his voice, not in anger, but in clarity, and said Victor's name so others could hear. The room quieted just enough. Victor froze, surprised to be called out. Maya looked at Ethan, shock and relief mixing on her face. Ethan didn't accuse, he asked a simple question that cut through the room. Is she leaving because she wants to, or because you're forcing her? The silence that followed was heavier than any shout. Victor laughed it off, claiming everything was fine, but his grip tightened. Ethan didn't back down. He placed himself between them, not touching, just standing firm. Victor's expression changed. He whispered a threat about making Maya pay later, about taking her child and disappearing. Ethan heard it, and so did Maya. That threat turned the party into something else entirely. People were watching now. Someone asked if help was needed. Victor tried to drag Maya away again, but Ethan said clearly, "You're not taking her anywhere." In that moment, the party stopped being a celebration and became a line Victor could not cross without being seen. The tension broke into chaos. Victor shoved Ethan, hard enough to stagger him, and shouted that Maya was his wife and this was none of anyone's business. Ethan stayed on his feet, his heart pounding, aware that every move mattered. Maya finally found her voice and said, loud enough for the room to hear, "I'm scared." That one sentence changed everything. People stepped closer. Someone said they were calling for help. Victor realized he was losing control, and that was when he made his move. He bolted, pushing through the crowd, grabbing his child who had been nearby under the care of a relative, and headed for the exit. Maya screamed her child's name, panic breaking through her composure. Ethan ran after Victor, stopping only when he saw how quickly things could turn dangerous. Security moved in. By the time the doors were blocked, Victor had already forced his way out, taking the child with him. The party was over in every sense. Maya collapsed into a chair, shaking, repeating that Victor had threatened this before, that he said if she ever embarrassed him publicly, he would take her child and make sure she never saw him again. Ethan knelt in front of her and said something he had learned the hard way: fear grows when it's hidden. Tonight, people saw. Over the next hours, statements were taken, phones were checked, and the truth began to form a clear shape. Several guests had recorded parts of the confrontation. Messages Victor had sent Maya earlier were saved. Ethan gave his statement, steady and exact, knowing exaggeration would only weaken the truth. Maya admitted she had stayed silent for years because Victor had convinced her no one would believe her. Ethan told her that belief had already been broken the moment she spoke up. The night ended not with laughter, but with resolve. Maya did not go home alone. She went with support, with witnesses, with the knowledge that what happened at that party could not be erased. Ethan went home to his own child, holding him longer than usual, realizing how close he had come to walking past another person's pain. He also realized something else: doing the right thing rarely feels safe in the moment, but regret lasts much longer than fear. The days that followed proved how powerful that moment at the party had been. Legal steps moved faster because the incident had been public, documented, and witnessed. Maya requested emergency protection and temporary custody, and this time, Victor's usual threats carried less weight. When the hearing took place, Ethan stood beside Maya as a witness, not as a hero, but as someone who refused to pretend he saw nothing. Victor tried to deny everything, but the recordings, the messages, and the statements formed a wall he couldn't break. The court ordered the child returned to Maya's care and restricted Victor's contact. When Maya held her child again, her strength came not from victory, but from relief. Later, she thanked Ethan quietly, saying she never expected anyone to speak up for her in a room full of people. Ethan answered honestly that he almost hadn't. He told her he understood how easy it was to stay silent when you had something to lose. Weeks later, Maya did something Ethan didn't expect. She brought forward additional proof Victor had tried to use against Ethan, claiming interference. Maya had saved a message Victor sent after the party, threatening Ethan directly. That message protected Ethan and closed the door on Victor's last attempt at control. Standing together, Maya and Ethan understood that courage is rarely loud, but it is contagious. One person speaking up had given another the strength to fight back, and a child the chance to grow up without fear. If this story made you think, or reminded you that one moment of courage can change many lives, please like this video, share it, and subscribe to the channel. And tell us in the comments, do you think you would have spoken up at that party, or would fear have kept you silent?